Welcome back to Obsession Engineering, and we are still in the midst of preparing our bikes for Supersport and Sport Bike at British Championship. This is the final countdown though, because in 6 days both of these bikes need to be working, finished and in a van on the way to Spain. So what I think we ought to do is one by one we'll take the covers off them and show you how far we've got from the last video. So first on the list is the not Honda, because last time we saw this bike it had been on the dyno, it had been running and was waiting for the last few details, including some bodywork. As you can tell, there is still no bodywork, which is becoming a bit of an issue. So there's a couple of potential contingencies in place in case our bodywork doesn't turn up in time. There have been a few little details on the bike though. Things like brackets for the GPS unit. If we open the Spider filler cap, the fuel tank is full of Explo-safe foam. Rob has been through, and we've been detailing quite a lot in this. So this has had the fuel tank weighed, like a few little brackets done, a load of the spares built up. And so it doesn't actually look like we've done very much with it, but there has been, a few hours of work gone into it. The 600 has had a lot more progress. As you can see, it now has bodywork. Unfortunately, it is still in Fred Flintstone spec, so the bodywork's definitely going to have to come off at some point. And that has been causing a bit of stress because the engine kits coming from Honda, the 2025 Supersport next generation engine kits that come from HRC, they're still not here. And so our two engines, the one out of this and the one out of the second bike, they went to Mugen a week and a half ago. And unfortunately they're now in bits at Mugen, and in a few days we need a working motorcycle. But there is a plan for that. Team boss Matt and Rob went over to see the lovely people at Honda Racing the other day, and because we were waiting for our air scoop to turn up, and that was meaning we couldn't fit bodywork that we didn't have, the lovely people over at Honda, they actually have some spares. So they have, I assume, sold us a clock bracket. And then because our bodywork still hadn't turned up for the 600 either, luckily they had some spares. So thank you to the boys at Honda Racing for loaning us a set of their Lakamoto bodywork. And apparently this was nice and easy to fit.
You unwrap it out of the polystyrene coating and you put it where it goes and you do it up. Job done. That's it. It's the best fitting fairing I've ever experienced on a race bike. Simple. I think one little hole I had to just sort of tickle just to help the bolt line up, but that was it. Absolutely brilliant.
Right, there have been a few other bits happening with the 600, so run us through the bit of a list of what else you've done before and after you've got the bodywork.
We fit the brake lines, so we've got brakes now. That's good.
A slight issue, we were going to run a thumb brake and a foot brake with a diverter in the rear mass cylinder, but there's been an issue, hasn't there?
Yeah, slight issue with a part, so we're going to resort to just the thumb brake now, which will it'll make the job easier, whether it's what Owen wants. Well, he said he wants a thumb brake, he wanted the other one. Unfortunately, with the part we've got, it's not going to work. So thumb brake is the option that we're going with to start off with. We can look at changing it later.
We'll put a bit of flesh on that bone. The diverter valve doesn't actually fit properly in the mass cylinder.
It fits, it just moves when pressure's on it. So you go, don't really want that. It's not ideal. So we are actually waiting for another rear brake line to turn up now because we had to obviously order a different style one to accommodate that. What else have we done?
I don't know, Rob. What else have you done?
I don't know. You weren't here, were you? You was having a jolly. Oh, well, the what's that called thing? I forgot.
The HRC
there you go.
kit steering damper.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it. So I fitted that.
So the oddity with these bikes is there's not really anywhere to run a traditional steering damper. There's just no space. There's nothing down by the bottom yokes, and it'd be awkward to run one down the side of the tank. So the one that sits sort of behind the yoke, behind the clamp, that's where the original one sits. So the HRC one is basically a modified version of the electronic one they come with as standard, but for a very large sum of money.
Yeah, there's not much difference in them, is there, at all? In fact, I'd say nothing apart from what you've just said.
Yeah, the kit one has an adjuster on it, whereas the electronic one doesn't have a plug on our wiring.
Yeah, that's
anymore,
it. That's it. Yeah,
we've got to change
you
it.
take the standard arm off and bolt it on, and away you go.
Easy to fit though, I guess.
Yeah, it just bolts straight in. I quite like this bike actually now. After 4 weeks of stress.
Right.
Yeah, so bodywork on. We've fitted GPS, which is there. We've fitted rain light. For the minute, we noticed the boys at Honda when I went the other week. I got a really, really nice bracket at the back here, and I will say it was really nice to the point where I wanted some. So we asked to try and get some of them, but unfortunately the manufacturer of them won't let us have them because we're not sponsored by them, and you can't buy them apparently, so we haven't got one of those. I tried to make a bracket, that went in the bin, so that's where it is for now. We'll worry about that later because we've got it.
It works.
And time is running out.
So in the last video the Carbonian under trays had turned up, but we didn't actually have anything fitted to them, so Rob has been busy. Our little Alliant YLP12 battery is sat down there. Rob has riveted in a couple of little like clips, and when we get the battery straps, the battery will just be held in a bit like a road bike. So that's ready to go. The data logger bolts into the under tray, and that's really nice. And the plug and everything is actually underneath it, so it's probably a little bit safer. ECU is sitting there, but the like anti-vibration mounts that weren't available when we ordered the ECUs are now available, and so there's some anti-vibration mounts coming, and if they don't turn up in time, we'll just wedge some foam in there basically. Even underneath the battery tray, Rob's been busy and just made a little bracket here for the potentiometer sort of clips to sit in, so when you remove the shock you can just unplug that, plug it back in, nice and easy to access, nice and sturdy, nice little bracket that. So there's also some little spaces underneath the mudguard to raise that up so you can get a tyre warmer in it even when you're running the short wheelbase. All of the titanium fasteners have been fitted, so titanium bolts for the chain adjusters, some of the front wheel stuff, the pinch bolts and the nut on the other side, rear wheel nut, clamps in the yokes, all this sort of stuff has now been changed for titanium to save some weight. But none of that's very useful without the engine. Because our engines might not be back in time for when we go testing, Matt, team boss, had a bit of a chat with the lads at Honda. It turns out they have basically one of Dean Harrison's spare engines from last year. It has done 2/3 of its mileage, but they are willing to sell it to us. So this afternoon, Rob is going to go and get us a 2024 spec Supersport engine. The nice thing with this is it keeps some of the mileage off our really quick motors. Honda have done us a really nice deal on it as well. And when it hits mileage, we can refresh it and have ourselves an extra spare. Winner! So it might only be a few days before we go testing, but there is a plan for almost everything. And so there's a couple of last little bits I need to chase up, brake pads and a couple of other bits. Rob is disappearing soon to go into Honda Racing Boys and pick up his engine. And then we can have the fun and games of actually getting the lump in there. So Rob is busy building the bikes in there, and while he's doing that, I just want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors who've come on board this year. If you would like to join us on the rapid Honda journey, bringing young riders up, putting them to the absolute front of British Championship, getting your name out there as well, we would love to have you involved. There's still room for sponsorship on the bikes, on the truck, on the leathers, all of that. We would love to tailor a package that suits you. So if you would like to be involved in sponsoring Rapid Honda, please drop us a message via the website at obsessionengineering.co.uk, and I'll put you in touch with Team Boss Matt and we'll find a wonderful way to get you involved. Good news! Rob has been to Honda and we now have an engine to go in our bike. And we have a bike that needs an engine. So I'm going to let you guess what's going to happen next. Yep, we're going to have a tea break. Not really, we're going to put an engine in. Hey, japes, eh? So engine fitting progress is coming along nicely. These are pretty simple, and the thing that will be most time consuming on road bikes is generally the wiring loom, but of course ours has been simplified because we've got a proper race loom, and so things like the throttle bodies, it's just a case of dropping the throttle bodies in. The clamps are down here a little bit awkward to get to, so we've just got to make sure we've got the right tool for those in the truck, but other than that, it's plonk the throttle bodies in, undo the, do up the one big connector for those. There's a few bits, connections on the engine because this didn't have a subloom on it, but no, it's going all right. Apart from, there might be a couple of bits missing. So obviously some of our stuff is away at Mugen, and that includes the pipe that runs from the back of the crankcases down to the water pump. So we need to get that back from Mugen because there isn't any UK stock anywhere else, and we need to blank off like the thermostat pipes that we'd done, again, on our engines are already blanked, but our engines aren't here. So there is a few little bits we need to source, and this engine does not come with a clutch in it, so our STM clutch is going to be going in it, but all our clutch plates are at Mugen. So Team Boss is on the case with trying to get some of the bits back from Mugen. So it's definitely not going to be fired up today, but at least we can get everything electrically connected, all the bits bolted on, and because it'll be electrically connected, we can actually put power to it and actually have the dashboard powered up and the ECU for the first time. Right, progress. If I'm honest, progress is slow. So putting the engine in has been a little bit more hassle than we expected because it's basically come to us not complete and we never had our one running. And so some items are taking a little bit longer to sort out. For example, the exhaust studs didn't come on the engine. And so we've had to put M8 bolts in because we didn't have the studs. The only problem is that with that, the original stud is M8 where it goes into the engine and then M6 or M7 where it goes through the clamps. So we've had to take the clamps off and drill them out. You know, not a massive job, it takes a bit of time. The plugs that we made for oil pressure and oil temperature, again, we sorted them early. This engine, the threads in the engine aren't actually threaded quite as deep, so we've had to trim the thread down on those a little bit. Again, it's not a massive problem, but it just takes a little bit of time. And in amongst a few other jobs, we are of course trying to power up as well. And so this is, well, the second time we've had the dashboard powered up. So dash is powered up. They come with a base map in the ECU. But the next thing I need to do is, for the first time ever, collect to a bike with Mectronic on it. While Rob's tinkering with mechanical tasks, I have actually had the laptop connected, and I think I've actually managed to put a map in the bike. This is a base map that the lovely lads over at Honda gave us, and so it's the first time I've had a really good look at the Mectronic stuff. But as far as I can work out, I've actually managed to put that in the bike, so we have a very good starting point, and I probably ought to really sit down in a couple of evenings and actually read the How on Earth This Works manual, because it'll probably be going to be quite useful. So today hasn't entirely gone to plan, but it's not been a complete failure of a day. There are certain things we have done. So we now have a back brake that works. So that is a good start. That's the first time we've actually had that working. The front brake was done the other day. As you can see, we've got a quick release connector there so that when you have to replace a handlebar in a hurry, you just clip the next one on that's already bled up. Job sorted. Right, down the back of the bike, because the exhaust system is on, we've had to lag underneath the under tray with like heat reflective tape so that it doesn't just burn straight through the carbon fibre. So that is all done so the exhaust pipe heat stays away from the ECU and logger. Now eventually we will have the kit spec bell mouths and the kit air filter. But at the moment we don't have those because our engine kit hasn't turned up, so we're just running with the standard ones for now. And today has turned into a relatively long day, but it will not be the last of the long days because, because in 4 days this has got to be in a van going to Spain, and as you can tell, it's not ready yet. So we'll be back tomorrow to do more hours on the Honda, and hopefully we'll have some bodywork for that as well. But fingers crossed, eh? Another morning, another delivery, and that should be a clutch pack and some water hoses so that Rob can get the engine ready to run in the 600. Right, Rob is setting the fork height. We have some base settings from Honda for geometry and spring rates and all that sort of stuff, so we've got a decent starting point. And so Rob is just setting the chassis up. And you'll note he's doing this before we've had the bike running because we may have found a little problem. So the folks over at Mugen sent us our clutch pack to go with our STM clutch. The only slight problem is we need something extra on top of the standard clutch pack because you need to change a few of the plates. So basically you need 2 standard clutch packs to split to take out the thinner plates that actually run inside the slipper mechanism. We need to take them out and replace them with normal size plates. So Team Boss Matt has had a word in Mugen and they're going to send us the clutch out the second engine so we can build one complete clutch up to get us going. and then we'll just have to order a load of spares so we can actually build clutch packs for every engine. And so hopefully tomorrow the rest of the clutch plates will turn up and we can actually get the STM clutch in the bike, and then we can get some oil in it, and we'll be another step closer to getting fired up. So Rob has made another pair of blanks for the thermostat pipe we don't need, so that's fitted. And we've also got the Zabaki chain fitted, so that's the RQR race spec chain, same thing we ran on the Superbike. These things are mega strong, they do loads of mileage, absolutely top quality, so that is on paired up with the rental sprocket. So bit by bit we're getting all the little details done before we get the bike fired up, because that's the way the cookie's crumbling. Ooh, and I nearly forgot our R&G shark fin. So this is the new spec R&G shark fin, and the nice thing is there's no drilling and tapping into the swinging arm. You don't actually have to make any modifications. This is just bolted straight on. It's been really cleverly thought out. That is a good bit of kit.
So we are now 1 day away from heading to Spain. Well, loading the van for Spain, should I say. Dave's away today, so I'm in charge of the camera. The clutch is in. We are ready to make the first start up. So let's see what happens, shall we? There she goes. Get her up to temperature, check the levels, get the bodywork on her, and then get her in the van.
So Rob might have done the glory hunting bit today, when all the work's been done in the background and he's just turning the bike on and starting it up. Oh, I don't know. But it's gone 7 o'clock. It's getting fairly late. It's very dark. I've just got back from a board meeting that I've been at all day, and so I have put my overalls on so that I can crack the whip and make these two work a bit harder. They are on with putting the body kit on the Aprilia, on the Not Honda. The game with these is, because the road clip-ons sit quite high, the fairing is obviously designed to fit that. Which means when you put lower clip-ons on it, you have to cut a load out underneath the clip where the clip-ons sit, so that everything actually fits. And obviously there is also a little bit of tweaking to do. We've got to tweak the seat unit a bit, and just general fitting. But Matt picked up the body kit yesterday from King Carbon, so we're on with getting that fitted. The 600, the actual Honda, before Rob started it, he put some Motul 300V 030 Honda race kit oil in it. This stuff is trick, but it's a real special blend, so that you still get really good full protection, but it basically generates more horsepower because you get less drag from your oil. So that's really trick. That's in the engine, and that's running. So the plan in the morning, at 9 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be on the dyno with that. But there is, of course, plenty still to be done, which is mostly on that bike. There's already 2 people working on that, so I think 3 of us are just getting away.
Do I look 10 years older? When you watch these videos, if you start at the beginning and then flick to the last one, I'll look about 10 years older, I think. A lot more grey.
Right, so Rob is going to go home. In the morning, me and Matt are taking the 600 to the dyno because I need a bit of time with the Mectronic and the bike a little bit. Before we get out to Spain, it'd be useful to just give it basically a safety check over and get my head around some of the Mectronic stuff. And when me and Matt are at the dyno, Rob is going to finish fitting the fairing to the Not Honda, get the screen in it, do a few other little prep bits, and then we've got Bike Magazine and a rider turning up.
Yeah, so I might even have a shave for tomorrow. Oh, I would get my hair cut, but it's 9 o'clock nearly now, so don't think that's going to happen, is it? Right. Between now and 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right, you better go home then, Rob. Me and Matt are actually going to stop and fit some tyres, do a few little sort of admin jobs, and we'll see you at some point tomorrow.
Over and out.
So it is dyno day for the little CBR600, so we're over at Black and White Bikes because, firstly, you know, it's a useful dyno in a good location for us, and also because Paul is the crew chief for the Not Honda this year. And so, you know, it gives us a chance to come down here. He can teach me a little bit about the Mectronic stuff, and then on the drive home I can forget most of it. But before that, we need to get this thing actually spinning on the dyno. Basically, I want to just give it a few miles, make sure nothing leaks, make sure everything works as it should do, that we're getting readings on the dashboard, all that sort of stuff. And towards the end, we will do a power run and see what 16,700 RPM of CBR600 sounds like. Now, the green line you can see here, that's particularly wobbly down here, that is a standard bike. That's one of these bikes with the completely standard engine in it, standard exhaust, all the emissions control stuff. And if you watch the video when we first ran these in, you remember that the bike was really, really lean at the bottom and then crossed over to rich, sort of around here, and then it's reasonable up here. The blue line here is our 60% throttle run. So at 60% throttle, our sort of race spec kit engine bike with a proper exhaust pipe and, quite importantly, a proper map, makes more power. Look at that, lovely, 60%, off it goes, and obviously just tails off later on because the throttle's not very open. And then the red line is obviously better, follows that there and then just carries on going and is better everywhere than a standard bike, and especially down here. Through the middle, our kit spec bike will be massively better than a standard one. But up here it says it's slightly under 120 horsepower. And that's because that's just the 80% throttle run. So I'll load up the 100% one. I just had to tease you there with it. And the purple line is our 100% throttle trace. So you notice it's better all the way from the bottom. It's relatively smooth as well. Off it goes and just keeps going up here. But I was kind of expecting somewhere in the 130s, and I was expecting this to carry right on up here. But there is a couple of little caveats with that. This engine has done a fair bit of mileage. It doesn't have the kit spec like the next generation spec bale mouths, because our engine kit with those in hasn't arrived, and I suspect some of this tail off is because we're still on the standard bale mouths and the standard air filter. And so that trail off on the dyno, you can actually really feel that. So when we get it full spec, fresh engine, the right bell mouths and the air filter, that I would imagine will carry on up here a fair bit more. So I will admit I was expecting a better number than that, but this is an early 2024 engine and it has done 2/3 of its mileage, and it's not got the right bell mouths and it's not got the right air filter in it, so it is going to hold it back a little bit. But I'm sure when we're actually racing that will be better than that. I certainly hope so anyway, otherwise we're in for a very tough year. Straight from the dyno back to the workshop, and it is a hub of activity in here today because Paul has come to visit. Rob's still taking the spare not Honda apart, and then that's Owen's dad, which means Owen must be here as well, and he is. He's practicing his, I'm not quite sure what riding style that is, but he's practicing it. So then we've got Owen's here, Tony's here, John from Bike Magazine is here as well, and obviously Team Boss Matt on the sales pitch. So right, let's go and see what they're all actually doing. Owen, it's the first time Owen's actually seen the bike nearly complete, and so he's having a bit of a sit on it, getting levers and stuff and bars about where he wants it and footrests. Apparently it's very small, and that's just his penis he's talking about. And Tony, it's the first time Tony has also seen the bike, and me and Tony are the 600 team this year. I'm on the computer, Tony's on the spanners. The screen is actually only sticky taped in because it's actually only in for photos. Right, so far, tweaked a little bit, lever position on the handlebars, and footrest and stuff, but the biggest thing you've noticed so far is how small it is.
I've got, considering compared to like an R6, this is Kawasaki, Karima, all the ones I've ridden, I've got nowhere for my bum to go. I'm just there. But it means I won't be sliding back any further. I'll just be Well,
there.
locked.
Yeah. Next thing to test is how thick a seat foam Owen wants, because we haven't actually stuck any on it yet. We've got a couple of different thicknesses, and obviously we can double up. And so this test is just to see which one he likes, but there's no point in us sticking it down yet, so Tony's just holding him in place. It's very personal in this team, whether Tony wants it to be or not.
Tell me, Dave, what are you doing now?
Right, I'm trying to zero the IMU, so the gyro angle is correct. I have got your quick shifter to work, so we are making progress.
It's a good start, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
You're talking a little bit of gibberish to me, but...
Yeah, well, yeah, you don't need to know these things. I'm just making your bike work proper.
I'll just watch.
Okay. I know we haven't done very much today other than sitting on a motorbike and ride up and down the
It
yard.
don't matter, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's just, I've rode up and down on my new bike.
Yeah.
And then just change gear. Rob.
And the
Motorbikes
and the
that.
levers are sort of in the right place, and the rest of it will work out when we get to Spain.
There's just a lot going on, isn't there? Like, how am I going to remember what's going on there?
You
I
don't
don't
need
even use that.
Well,
I might
good.
use that a little bit. I ain't going to use that much.
What, the throttle?
No.
No. I think you'll be all right.
It's been a nice, good day, isn't it? Just,
Yeah.
I say, them lot over there, show it. They're going to get on well. Look at them.
Yeah.
Look how happy they look.
Yeah. And as long as you and me get on well, you know, it'll be fine.
You'll tell me you're going to go. You need to be less of a pussy through that corner. Like get off the and I'll go. Nah.
That sounds good. I think this is going to work out all right. You're going to come in demanding setting changes.
You're
I'm
gonna
come
go,
in demanding
have
a
a
new
laugh,
rider,
mate.
and we'll meet in the middle somewhere.
And hopefully go out and we'll do some like winning and
That's
hopefully
the idea, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause
call each other names and go out and just ride the bike.
yeah. So the plan is not for us to ride around in the middle of the field. We're
No.
out there to win, aren't we?
If I'm out in the middle of the field, something's going very wrong.
Excellent attitude. Cool. Right. That'll do then, Owen. Thanks
Good
for coming
day.
along for the day.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I am professional. See.
See, you are. Well done. You barely swore in all of it.
Right now, I'm off.
Just before you leave then, Tony, you've had a few hours now tinkering with the bikes. You can be honest with us. What do you think to them?
I'm going to say the bike is fantastic already. Rob's made a cracking job of them, without a doubt. That's Rob there, look. Yeah. He's as happy as Larry because he saw Owen with a big smiley face when he saw it and he sat on it. So I'm happy if Owen's happy. The team, the lads are so good. Chuffed to bits.
Excellent. And that tenner I've just paid you was worth it, yeah?
15 you said.
And with a happy rider, some happy mechanics, a happy rider's dad, a relieved Rob.
Very relieved.
A relatively chilled Matt.
For now.
And me with my stress levels decreasing ever so slightly. The bikes have been put in the van. They're ready to go to Spain. The workshop is actually nearly empty, which makes a change other than the carcasses of two basically disemboweled motorbikes. So that's it. We're going to Spain. Before then, we're going to attempt to have at least one night's sleep. So thank you for watching and join us again next time for some more Rapid Honda action.